he got here first, he gets privilege. And if you could start us off, and then when you're done, just find another person's name and ask them to share. Thank you.
You you told Paige. Paige is always telling me I'm too early. So hi, my name is Claude. I'm from Atlanta. My pronouns are he, him, his. Um, I heard about Babies in Bailout through another Blue sponsored event that I was on. Um, I'm excited to be here. Let's go to Donna. Oh, Lori.
Thank you, Claude. My name is Lori. I use she and they interchangeably. I heard about Babies and Bailouts from Blue's social media and the people I'm connected to who shared the social media. I will call on Sydney.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney. My pronouns are they, them. I am in Phoenix, Arizona, and I heard about Babies and Bailouts through maybe a worship service. It was a blue event as well. And I will pick Ashanti.
Hello, my name is Ashanti. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I live in Topeka, Kansas, and I first heard about Babies and Bailouts before it was called Babies and Bailouts at the proposal meeting that we had after the Allied Media Conference, a part of Team Sankofa. Paige.
Hey y'all, I'm Paige, community organizer with Blue. My pronouns are she, her, calling from Minneapolis. And I heard about Babies and Bailouts through a conversation that I had with Kiana and friends from Team Sankofa. I believe it was like during a dinner in Detroit where like the little seeds of the project were being planted. And like Ashanti said, members of Team Sankofa went through a process of writing up proposals for national campaigns for Blue to present to the Blue Organizing Collective. And they were incredibly excited about this project, and I'm happy to be on the call. And I will turn it over to Renee.
Hello, I'm Renee, and my pronouns are she and they, and I am in South Central Indiana. And Ashanti and Paige already said it. We are, before we were same Sankofa, before it was Babies and Bailouts, we we had this amazing notion coming forth from Kiana. She was super excited, super moved. One of our esteemed panelists was still in jail at that time, and we had just attended a very, very powerful, impactful, I think it was supposed to be a joyful celebration, but we all needed to take a minute and like breathe after that situation. So it was sometime up in there. I feel like there was food involved, all those things. But yeah, that's where I heard about it. So we were there when Kiana was receiving the vision. So I will pass it to, there's somebody on the phone?
773.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm Kim, and I'm in Chicago. I use she, her pronouns. And I first heard about Babies and Bailouts through Allies for Racial Equity, and then also followed through with a friend and co-member at Second Unitarian.
Mhm.
Was there supposed to be something else because I had missed the beginning?
No, that's good. You're doing great.
Okay. That's all I can remember that I'm supposed to cover.
And I think, am I the last one, y'all?
Yeah, I don't know who to call. So.
Oh, it's me. I got it. Thank you, Kim.
And
So my name.
Thanks.
Did everybody go or did I miss somebody? I'm sorry. I had to take a phone call.
Someone just joined us.
And Donna, you haven't gone yet, right?
Yep, that's right.
So the person whose phone number is 603, we're going to when Donna's done, we're going to have you introduce yourself, your pronouns, and talk about how you first heard about babies and bailouts. Donna's going to show us by example.
Hi, I'm Donna Renfro. I'm in College Station, Texas, and I first heard about babies in bailout from Lori and Allies for Racial Equity and Blue, kind of all together. And so, Sydney, your turn.
Did Sydney already go?
I went already.
Sorry, not Sydney. Sydney, the 603, our other phone participant.
So the person who's calling from 603, my glasses aren't on. Okay, I see you came off mute.
Hi, it's Aisha Hauser.
Oh.
Aisha!
Hey, girl.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late. I'm good. I'm actually driving home, so that's why I couldn't join through with my face. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I first heard about it on the Blue page, on the Blue Facebook page, on babies and about babies and bailouts. So that's me. Thank you. I don't know what else. Is there anything else?
No, you're good.
Hey,
Awesome.
I'm gonna keep you off mute, so just mute your own phone, so that way
Okay.
there's
Hi,
no.
Paige. Okay.
Hey, and the same thing for the other person that's on your phone. I'm just gonna unmute you, so just mute your own phone, and that way you can easily come in.
We be thinking about y'all safety. We be thinking. So my name is Kiana. My pronouns are she and her. I am from Minneapolis, but I currently live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I went to a revival almost a year ago, y'all. Revival was about a year ago. And for the first time, got to be in very intentional Black-only space, and it blew my mind. And so when there was an opportunity to join Team Sankofa and to be intentional about faith-based activism, it was an easy choice. I can remember hearing Sawatu when the call started. So her son, who's maybe less than 6 months at easily, say maybe even 6 to 8 weeks, her husband and her daughter and her sister are on stage, and she's doing a recorded or live phone call, but the top of the phone call says, this is a call from a corrections facility. And when she only had a minute left, the call goes, "You have 1 minute remaining." And there's this audible gasp because you realize this woman is in jail. This woman isn't around the corner. She isn't up the street. She just did miss her flight. She's in jail. And to hear her words and know that her son is on stage, it tore us all apart. But what it did was somewhere this little seed came in my head and said, babies and bailout. If they don't want to give people money, who doesn't like babies? And so that's how this idea came to be energized and be energized by all of Team Sankofa. So I use and I apologize in advance. I'm not doing this alone. It's just bad vernacular because this is a team. Paige, Ashanti, Renee, Asia, Rocky, all I think there's 9 of us total. It is a group effort. I am not the holder of all the knowledge. I'm a holder of a bunch of knowledge, and that's the extent of it. the proposal came through and it's changed and it's different, but where we are right now is there's a watch party that'll have several esteemed panelists. We know 2 of those already. One of them is Sawatu. She is free now, and she can really speak to her experience as a person who's been incarcerated, a mother who's tried to mother while being incarcerated, and a mother who's experienced childbirth while incarcerated. And I just did something and I want to tell y'all what it was because it's important. I intentionally didn't say, I put incarcerated in the back of all of those things. Because first and foremost, she's a mother, right? She's not just somebody who's been incarcerated. She's a mom who's mothering while incarcerated. She is a woman having childbirth, experiencing childbirth while incarcerated. I want to maintain in all of these conversations, everybody's dignity. We don't have a system that's fair, so there's no way she could have been treated fair in an unjust system, and to acknowledge all of that, right? Now there's fairy dust over our conversation around that. So we have these panelists. Paige can maybe speak a little bit about who Janae is and the Gilda Papoose, and maybe give us a hint about other panelists. Winky, winky. There's a piece that allows folks to engage their community and find a donation partner and do a physical material donation drive. And we felt it was critical that folks not only get the knowledge about how to end money bail or how incarceration continues to disproportionately impact communities of color, but we wanted it to be a facilitated dialogue that had shape. And so that's some of the questions you have in the facilitation guide. The facilitation guide was created by all of us, and we really tried to think of a lot of things that folks would need to feel successful. To not feel overwhelmed from the beginning and say no before they start. But secondly, to feel like when they were doing it, they felt really empowered, engaged in their community. And when it's done, to have a way to say, no, we did that. Like, woo, woo, success. So having said all of that, because I talk a lot, let's go back to the facilitation guide. Yes, thank you, Paige. I need a second to think.
Yeah, you do. And you told me to say something, you forgot about me. The panelists.
I can never forget about you, Paige. I'm going to press mute.
Yeah. So thank you, Kiana, for really giving a very meaningful introduction to Sawatu. And it was really like a pipe dream to like get her on. I didn't know. I went to a training with like somebody who was part of that team of organizers who were trying to get her out, slid in the DMs, like just really, this was brought about because I was just like on Instagram, like, hey, what's up? Not trying to hit on you, but what I am trying to do is try to get your comrade to come on and bless us with her presence. So that was really great. And then the other panelist that we've announced is Janae Janae Taylor. Sorry, I'm realizing I'm getting sick, so sitting with that. And so Janae is this amazing organizer, a DC native who I met first and foremost through the work that they were doing with BYP 100. Recently, they have kind of formalized, or she's kind of formalized the Gilda Papoose Collective, and they're doing a whole bunch of things, but the things that they're doing that are directly related to the work that we're doing is they're really leading up, bailing out Black mamas and caregivers in the DMV area, so DC, Maryland, and Virginia. What is particularly amazing and interesting about Janae and what she brings to the table is twofold. She really kind of spearheaded this idea of creative ways in which we can really think about how do we want to support our moms and our caregivers after we bail them out. So that's something that I really just want to take a second to talk about, which is that bailing out Black mamas and caregivers is not the end. It's not like the end result of what we're trying to do. And so making sure that there is a support system that's not just an imaginary thing, but a very tangible thing, to really understand what the mamas and caregivers are in need of. So when you're going through the system, they do a risk assessment for you to see how much of a risk you are of fleeing or of not showing up to court. But what National Bailout is kind of asking for is a needs assessment. And so one of the major needs of these Black mamas when they get out of jail is support for housing. So, like, a lot of folks may have gone in jail thinking that when they come out that they can stay with one person. That's not actually true, because things change. They need jobs. They want a different relationship with their community. And so Janae developed a fellowship that its first iteration was a theater arts fellowship for the Black mamas to get trained up and skilled up on theater art, because that is Janae's passion and something that she's very skilled in. And that has manifested in a lot of different ways. And there are actually other organizations who are kind of doing similar things, providing fellowships, community organizing and activism fellowships for the moms that are getting bailed out. And so I really want to hear Janae on the panel to kind of talk through that, but also to talk really deeply and explicitly about the absurdity of having human beings in cages. So in addition to the fellowship, Janae does a lot of work around guiding communities through these conversations about the absurdity of having people in cages. And so I'm hoping that she can speak to that too. Another confirmed panelist who we have not put out any information on, so keep this like right here, is Mary Hooks, who is a friend and mentor of mine, and is the co-director of Southerners on New Ground, which is an LGBTQ multiracial social justice organization of which I am a part on a couple of different levels. And Mary has really spearheaded a lot of what we see now as a Mama's Day bailout, and this and in my opinion, a conversation that has been able to be more and more common, which is even to discuss what abolition looks like. What are community alternatives to jails and prisons, community alternatives to policing. And so it's really an amazing opportunity to speak to somebody who's really a vanguard in a lot of this work, but who is also a very humble leader, incredibly disciplined in her political analysis, and I think can bring all of those things into the conversation. I'll leave the fourth panelist as a mystery, but I think that it's important just to kind of know that we have that we're really trying to develop a lay of the land, that we really want to be intentional about including mothers into these conversations, right? So we just had this thing with Muslims and UU spaces around, doing like speaking about us without us. So we don't want to replicate that, and we want to make sure to center in these conversations mothers. One other thing that I'll highlight before I kick it back to Kiana, which I think is important, which is that we are in the midst of Black Women's Maternal Health Week. And so Babies and Bailouts panel is really an opportunity to extend that conversation past this week and to speak specifically about Black women's maternal health in incarceration. We speak a lot about women's experiences, freed women's experiences, to be frank, in hospital settings giving birth. What we don't speak about as much is women's experiences in those settings, which are already incredibly dangerous for Black women in particular, and then to add on the prospect of being chained during birth, the prospect of knowing that you have a very severely limited time with your child before you have to let them go and you remain in jail indefinitely. So I just wanted to lift those narratives up and just to ground us in why in some of the, I think some of the intention that kind of gets lost in the hoopla, but I think it's really important when you're telling and articulating to people why this work is important and why it's important to give and why it's important to really begin this process of educating ourselves and our communities, particularly as UUs, that this is a moral imperative for us as people of faith, whatever that looks like, not just to learn about it, but to do about it. So with that, I'll pass it back on to Kiana.
Let's just take a deep breath together because that's a lot. That was a lot. Thank you, Paige. I'll try to not make you speak again if I can help it. Moral imperative, thank you. I needed to be reminded of that this is heart work that we're called to do because we believe that the dignity of every person, right? Principle number one, I think the UUs call it. Some other things I wanted to bring up before we move to questions, or that I wanted to highlight is we were really intentional about the date that we picked. We know that February 21st, Lord help us. April 21st is Easter, and so it's a really huge, there's a lot more people who come, even though we're UU and maybe that's not folks' direct theology, it does have a meaning for a lot of folks, so we knew we could get a lot of people in the seat, so it'd be an excellent time to advertise. We also know that Southerners on New Ground does a Mother's Day bailout, and we wanted to get the money and those resources in the hands of those people so that moms can be released by May 12th. We didn't want there to be that much lag. But also if folks are doing the recorded version, they have, basically till like May 11th, right? Left a big chunk of time. In addition to Blue, we have R, and I actually am gonna call on you, Lori, to speak a little bit about the work that you all are doing and R, so start to think about that. We're also working with the National Bailout Fund. In the work that we're doing, they haven't had a faith-reaching component in the work that they're doing, so this is something they're looking at as a potential model. We have partners like Southerners on New Ground and Gilda Papoose who are doing amazing work in their respective communities, and so to be working with Blue on this is a huge thing too. The UUA, which is the Unitarian Universalist Association, is kind of noticing as well. We're on their website, and I know other programs get on there, but just know that sometimes in the struggle for racial equity, we struggle for screen space too, right? So to be taking up screen space is like somebody's paying attention, somebody's saying, wait a minute, this is a big deal. So know that even though we're a small group, and I'll have Ashanti tell us the stats in a second too, our reach is getting big. It's getting big, y'all. So this is a big deal. So we're gonna have Lori talk about what R is and the work that they're doing. And then Ashanti, if you could lead us in some stats around how many parties we're having, how many parties, states, how many bailouts we know about. If you could be ready with those things, and then we'll open the floor for questions and ideas and goodness. If you just joined us, thank you. We're gonna keep moving along. It's a recorded event, so then that way you can come back and catch anything that you may have missed, okay? I'm gonna turn the floor over to Lori.
Thank you so much, Kiana. So for those of you who weren't here before, my name is Lori Stone-Sortosky. I'm here in Phoenix, and I'm one of the Allies for Racial Equity, or ARE, leadership collective members that are here today and that are helping work behind the scenes to support white organizers in predominantly white congregations who want to participate in the Babies and Bailout action in responsible ways. Paige got me activated at a deeper level during our weekend together at the mountain, which was amazing. And I'm so grateful for all of that work that I was able to do, learning and deepening my path toward effective allyship with Leslie Mack and Paige in the Allies in Action Boot Camp earlier this month. Or maybe it was last month. It's been a long, I know. It's been a lot of days and water under the bridge in these last couple weeks. Since ARE started to help out with particularly when Blue decided to open this up beyond the Micro 30 project and get white organizers who want to do this in their congregations involved, we have had one-on-one conversations with about 7 people at this point, some in person and some online. And we have about 4 more scheduled right now. So I'm feeling really good about the time I've been able to spend, hand-holding a little bit and giving some advice. Some of these folks are very well versed in getting actions organized, but not necessarily as well versed in doing it in accountable ways. So I'm doing some work around that with them. I'm also just helping them to connect to all the various resources. It's a very fast-moving organizing effort, and there's lots of new things coming out. And so I'm finding that when I talk to them, they haven't yet heard about a particular event or a resource, so I'm making sure that they have those resources at their fingertips and know about things like today's event. Some of the questions that people have are particularly around, is it okay to do our event after April 28th? And so it was helpful for me to hear today that May 12th is kind of a good hard cutoff for the money being effective in this particular time frame. I do have some questions about if they want to do it or cannot possibly do it until later. What is your guys' advice around that? And help me to direct them either directly to you to answer those questions, or if you can give me some advice, I can go ahead and follow up with them. But so far, I've got a lot of enthusiasm coming from folks. They're very excited about the watch parties. They are a little bit trepidatious around hosting their Q&As, but the guide you guys have put together is really helpful, and I've been pointing them to that to make them put their mind at ease a little bit, as well as the National Bailout Collective toward the end of their toolkit, like in pages 27 through 40 or so. They've got some really great FAQs and talking points that I've been able to point to some of them too as well. As far as Allies for Racial Equity, for those of you who don't know, we are an organization that's been around the Unitarian Universalist universe for quite some time now. We started out as a caucus of diverse revolutionary Unitarian Universalist multicultural ministries, or DRUM, and that was about, I think, 15 or some odd years ago. And DRUM eventually, the people of color organizers in DRUM said, y'all are taking up too much space. Could you maybe go over here and organize separately? And then work in an accountable relationship with us. So that's kind of where ARE came from. That's our birth story. We are in, I'm saying, a new transition period with a new story that we are starting to write, where we are moving away from a hierarchical kind of steering committee or board model with just members that pretty much give money and don't really do anything else. We're moving away from that model to more of an organizing collective model. We've adopted consensus decision-making in the last 18 months at the leadership level, but we've also expanded the leadership and flattened our organizational structure so that we are able to be more nimble and activate more people into the work. We want to move away from just being kind of a representational, educational kind of, come to us for advice kind of organization, because what do white people know anyway? And then moving toward a followership, action-oriented organization with, particularly in this moment that we find ourselves in Unitarian Universalism, where there's ground that's breaking up around examining our complicity in white supremacy culture in our faith communities. So we want to be able to help keep breaking that ground up, digging deep, and uprooting that stuff wherever we can find it.
Thank you for that, Lori.
Oh, thank you, Lori. So if, as you do this work, or people have questions, or you get an ouch, that's my new favorite word, ouch. If you get an ouch, send folks Lori's direction. Sometimes folks mean well, but mean well and do well don't always live in the same house. So that is a resource that I believe, Lori, if I'm not mistaken, you're offering to all of us as well to guide folks. So Ashanti, can you give us some stats about how amazing we're doing in terms of reaching out and people hearing and accessing Babies in Bailout?
Yes, Kiana. So first of all, I would like to brag on ourselves a little bit. We actually have 27 people, 27 different organizations that are working with us on our national bailout list. And so I believe I emailed you all earlier today about that. But the really interesting part is that we have 22 different states that are hosting events, which is pretty cool. So Alabama, Arizona, California, Connecticut, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Virginia, and Washington. So the three states that have the most amount of events happening, we have Ohio with 5 events, and then 2 states are tied. So we have Maryland and Arizona are having 3 events. And we have 35 events in total. So everybody's doing amazing work. This would not be possible without Kiana's vision. I want to keep reminding everyone of that. And also, Lori, I wanted to speak a little bit to how people could have an event after April 28th. So I can tell you a little bit about what I'm doing in my community. So I'm having an event at my church on April 28th. For the live event, kind of as a test run. And then I'm trying to galvanize the community around having a watch party on May the 10th. Then we'll have breakout discussions from questions that were provided in the guide. And then Kiana did mention when she first started forming this project the importance of community baby showers. And that's kind of been a thing that I've been seeing a lot of organizations do. So I'm trying to replicate that model and implement the vision that she had. So on May 11th, I'm trying to put together a community baby shower for the mothers that will receive funds directly from money that we take at the door. So they'll receive their baby items, they'll receive that money, and then this event will actually be a dinner for the entire community to come and celebrate. So I hope that helps you a little bit, Lori. This is the first time that we've been having a meeting about the different events and even doing Q&A with everyone all together. So I hope that you can get some more ideas out of this call. But that's what I've got going on, and it sounds like you're able to help a lot of folks as well, Lori. So thank you all for the work that you're doing. If you know anybody that wants to host an event, tell them to please sign up. We're still taking the applications, and I know as soon as this went on the UUA website, we had about 5 responses, and so I was looking at my phone, like emailing and stuff. So y'all are doing great. I look forward to talking to y'all a little bit more, and thank you.
I also wanted to really quick chime in, Lori, about hosting a watch party after May 12th. I think that is fine, and here's why. Like I was saying before, there are supportive services that are needed. And I'll also say this, and I think that I want to try to do a better job of articulating this, but bailouts don't just happen on Mother's Day or Father's Day, right? So folks need to get bailed out all the time. And I think that a lot of organizations are starting to build infrastructure to be able to do that. I know that Song certainly isn't waiting until Mother's Day to bail folks out. It's happening all the time. Last time I talked to their bailout coordinator, and they were like, yeah, we got like 22 mamas bailed out recently, right? So, so I just wanted to lift that up and to say that funds are always needed because things are always happening, and the system is still in place. And we always want to have the invitation open for folks to be able to engage in this work. And so I don't want to have a hard cutoff of May 12th and then have folks say, okay, well, I guess I'm going to wait till next year. That's actually not the case at all. And so I think that we collectively, everyone that's on this call, who's doing a bailout or engaged in this, can use this as an opportunity to kind of like make sure to let people know about this, and to get out of this idea that there is like some sort of bailout season where we want to like place all of our efforts, but rather make this in like a sustained practice, right? A practice of giving, a practice of supporting that moves with us throughout the years. So I just want to lift that up, and thank you so much for bringing that question up. And if you have any other questions about ways to kind of articulate that or other things that come up, feel free to let me know. And I'll say this, cool. So Lori put in the chat that folks can schedule a one-to-one with ARE, aka Lori, and put the link in the chat. I'll say it out loud because there are some folks that are on the phone, and it's really simple. It's doodle.com/Lori SIR. So that's LORISIR. And I'll make sure to find a way to like get that information out to folks. And yes, I think it's a great idea to send folks who want to do, who want to continue to do this work after May 12th to the National Bailout Collective link. And that's also in the chat, and we'll be kind of posting that. Because they're also supporting smaller organizations that are doing bailouts and work that don't necessarily get the shine that, like, say, a Southerners on New Ground gets. So I hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you, everybody. Before we move into Q&A and sharing good ideas, is Asia on this phone call by chance? No, she's not. Okay, that's fine. I wanted to speak a little bit to donation partners. If you are collecting material donations, and some folks are and some folks aren't, know that this is a capacity project, right? So if all you have the capacity for is to publish that list of bailouts and people are willing to give money, if you're able to host a watch party and go all out, that's great too. Some folks have added in another layer, which we hope you do, which is the donation drive. It's a chance to actually that's not the best language. It's an opportunity to connect with local resources in your community and bring the project back home. I'll use myself as an example. I was going to see if somebody else was there. We have partnered, so I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is about 40 minutes south of Detroit. And we are partnering with the Metro Detroit Diaper Bank. They collect and give away for free diapers, incontinence, and menstrual supplies to people in need. I've challenged my community to bring in 150 items. So I sent an email to like the youth group and challenged them. I said, if you guys bring in 20 items, I will chaperone an event for you. But I issued this challenge to the women's group, men's group, and the 20s and 30s group. And when the women's group sent it out, because of who they are, they were like, Kiana said 20, but we can do 40. Like, that's a low number. And I walked in here today, and we weren't starting to collect stuff until the 21st on Easter, which was on purpose. And we probably already have 20 items that people have gone and gotten. I'm going to put up a picture tomorrow because I'm trying to do one picture a day and not do too many. But for us, what it comes down to is that sometimes people don't sometimes people don't know how to show up authentically, but they know how to go to the store and buy a box of diapers. And so the donation drive is giving folks a way to connect that feels authentic and genuine. But when they come in and I'm able to talk to them a little bit, it gets them this much closer to showing up on that Sunday. So it's about personal connection. It's about connecting with that organization. It's also about being trustworthy in your word. So I'm collecting this stuff. Her and I already have a delivery date for the week of the 29th. She's willing to come get it, but we already have a delivery date. We have an understanding of what's expected of each other, right? It's not just like, oh, I'm collecting this stuff for you. I hope you like it. Her and I talked. What is it that you need? What is it that you could use? Me understanding who she actually distributes her items to so that I can speak to their experience. It was super important to me in creating this project and in what I want to communicate, which is you want to be in partnership with a partner. You don't want to be benevolent. I'm granting you these good things that I'm giving you because I'm a good person. You want to be in community and connection and have a really valid, just transparent interaction with the folks who you're partnering with. We are not benevolent caregivers. We are taking care of our shared humanity in this work. And so, like I said, I'm getting folks to bring stuff in, but I get to keep talking about babies and bailouts. I get to keep talking about in money bail. I get to keep talking about, do you think you could have your kid and be shackled? And people look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, yep, that's what women experience. And they're like, whoa. So the donation drive piece, not everybody's doing that, but if you can find a partner in the community, you have a way to collect and store those things that feel safe and not overwhelming, and a way to deliver those things that, again, feel safe, not overwhelming, then I support it 150%. You'd be amazed what people will, like I said, if you don't like babies, maybe if you don't want to give me money, but you like babies, you'll go get them diapers. So get folks wherever they're at. I want to take a deep breath, but then open the floor to questions that people have, whether it's about the logistics of your party, how the recording will work, if you have Wi-Fi, should you have food, how should I market it? Let's open that floor. So I'm going to press mute. We're going to wait 1 full minute to give everybody a chance to woomsa. And then we're just the first person who wants to talk and ask a question, we'll open that floor. What Paige, what time is this meeting set for? 8:30 or at 9? Or no time?
I mean, it's office hours, so I said until 8:30, but I was certainly intending on staying until 9. So I just want to be here for as long as folks have questions, and also recognizing that folks have other things to do. So we ask for y'all to stay on at least until 8:30, and if you still have questions and want to keep on in conversation, you're welcome to.
Thank you, Paige. All right, so 1 minute of woomsa and gathering of our thoughts.
So this is all popcorn, so if you have a question, you can feel free to unmute yourself and jump right in with your questions.
I was about to say that. Or if folks want to just share how their process has been or how it's going, how has it been to work with your space? Lori offered some questions she's been asked. Claude, Sydney, Rocky, Kim, what has your experience been trying to get this together?
I have something. So when Keanu was talking, you kind of reminded me of something about, kind of partnerships. So we have listening circles, like small group ministry. And it's like the easiest way to get communicated in my community. And I think that's the first place I'm going to start. And I have one tomorrow. And I think from there, I might be able to either get some volunteers or more ideas about how to make it happen. Um, so shared with Paige that right that week, the 28th, we're um, candidate candidating, and all of the energy in the church is going to that. So as much as I'd like to, fully participate, but I know like trying to get people is just going to be fighting with that um, stuff going on in church.
Thanks for that, Claude. And I'm sorry I didn't get back to your email, but I've been running around. So I'll say this. I think that Kiana was definitely onto something, and I think it's worth mentioning that although you might not necessarily have the watch party then, I think it's a great idea to try to like push for folks to start to donate around Easter, and maybe like see how much y'all can do just like in solidarity. You know what I'm saying? So like I think trying to maximize times in which is going to be a large amounts of people in the church, and then being able to at the very least get your funds together while you figure out a way to like actually do the self-education or the communal education part is really helpful. Another thing that I wanted to lift up, because I forgot to say this earlier, which is I don't want us to overcomplicate this process. So I've really been telling people that literally you can gather some friends and family at your home and watch the panel on Facebook on a large screen that you connect to your TV or whatever, right? And that consists of a watch party. I don't want there to be this feeling that there needs to be this really elaborate setup. I think that when you're dealing with community partners, that you need to that there's more work that needs to go into it, because they're like, you are being held accountable by somebody and you're really working in service for someone. But also if you really just want to say, I want to gather folks together, I want to watch this panel, and I want to have a conversation and raise money, you can do that in a variety of ways. So I don't want the process to deter anybody from doing it, because my intention around hosting a watch party will be to ask my mom and my sister to like have my family come over to the house and watch me in celebration of me, under the guise of like, but actually like to learn something and open up a conversation. And I know that that's as much as my mom is able to do. And so I just want to like lead with that and say, and also just like encourage folks that feel like, oh, am I getting on too late in this process? No, you're not. The point is, at the bare bones, that we're gathering, we're watching, we're talking, and we're supporting organizers who are doing this work.
So I mentioned to Kiana the other day when you called me, thank you for that, as you were calling everyone, that one of the locations that I'm helping to organize a watch party in is the Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Long Beach, because the Pacific Southwest District Assembly is that same weekend. And it concludes Saturday evening, and then Sunday we go to church, and then people will start to leave that gathering. But, for a pretty big city, from what I'm told. So you'd think we'd be able to pull some people in for a watch party that afternoon at the church. So we contacted their racial justice team and their minister, and they were very much on board for a day. And then something shinier came along. There was a white supremacist protest that was supposed to be happening in their city. And they were going to invite people at 11 o'clock Sunday morning. So pretty much right in the middle of church, is from what I could tell. They were going to invite the district assembly people to go and do a counter protest. And they're like, well, people don't have enough appetite for that and a watch party. I was like, So it was one of those stories where I was like, I think there's plenty of appetite to go around, and some people will want to do a watch party and give money more than they'll want to go and, throat punch Nazis, is all I'm saying. Like, that's pretty scary for some folks, and may not be the most effective use of our time, since we're trying to actually make some direct impact on people's lives. Thankfully, the short end of this story is that barrier to us having that event has been lifted, because the white nationalists have changed the time of their event to Saturday, right in the middle of the district assembly. And what I'm very curious about is whether or not the district assembly will still encourage everyone to leave the district assembly and go protest this thing. Just curious. But thankfully, we now have no artificial barriers to compete with this event, and we're hoping it will still go forward in Long Beach. They have not registered yet, but that'll be one that gets added.
I honestly feel like that story is really helpful, because it brings up a point about the fact that in transparency, from my point of view, and my intention behind really pushing this project, right, beyond Blue Micro 30, which was great, is that there needs to be a cultural shift in the ways in which we as UUs in congregations or in other formations are engaging with social justice work. And I think I'm really not trying. I'm not trying to give away something, but this effort is an invitation to do deeper and more sustained work. And I feel like that is something that our people need to be ready for. And although there is definitely a need to have people on the ground and boots on the ground for, direct action, there is a lot more that UUs can be doing in all of the ways that we are in formation, whether it's congregations or this group or that group or the association, around something that is actually sustainable. And so I think that would be my argument, is yes, great. Like, we have been doing this, right? UUs will show up. Some folks will get arrested, and it's great. And I get it. And where has this brought us? And who actually knows us, and who knows what we're about, and how, and I feel like the answer is not a whole lot of people outside of our universe, right? So how come Black and brown organizers don't really know about us? Or what they do know is that they don't have time to deal with it, right? Because they're trying to get this work done. So what can we do to show up better, to be allies in the work? Even if we're Black folks, we're still part of like a majority white congregation, and so we need to recognize that too. So yeah, I thank you for that, because this is a stretch for a lot of people, but it is really important work. And there's more to come. I can't tell you what that is, but there's more to come. So keep fighting the fight, and we'll be providing some more direct opportunities for us to start start that culture shift that we so desperately need.
So I have a question. I have an event. I'm all ready. How can I get an event page?
That's a great question. So what we're trying to do is find a great way for us to keep track of where all of these watch parties happening. So one of the things that we're asking, and in that long email that I sent after you signed up, at the bottom I said that when you have a confirmation of where your event is and what time, to email Ashanti. The reason is because we want to have Facebook event pages set up through the Black Lives of UU Facebook page with your organizer or your organization as a co-host. And that way we can also reach out, right? So the more ways that we can like reach out, what would it look like to have folks that have never been to your church before come to this watch party? I think it's a great idea. And we can just keep track, keep the branding right. So when you email Ashanti and confirm that information, I will, and I'll be doing this on the plane tomorrow and probably tonight, be setting up a Facebook event page with all the information that you provide. And that way you can set it out and create a reach beyond your congregation, and we can also keep track, and this can be an official Black Lives of UU event. So that's just really important. It's not people are going to do it anyway, but the more that we can kind of keep track of these things, the better. And so Ashanti's email is in the email that I sent everyone, and it's also in the chat below. And if you have any questions for folks that are on the phone, I don't really think it makes sense to spell this out, but you can email me. My email is a little bit easier at paige, Paige, at blacklivesuu.com.
Clarifying question on that. For Ashanti, the email, we would use that to tell her when we're having an event. I just want to make sure I know exactly what we should be sending to her.
Yeah.
So in the email, it was asked that you provide the address, the day, and the name of the organization. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it's more important that we have the name of the church. So, for instance, the UU Church in Dayton is doing an event. So it's more important that we have the name and the address than just the address itself. Like we need the name of the place that it's happening. And if it's at your house, we understand if you don't want to provide the address, but the name of the organization, possibly the address if you can get it, and the date, just so we can make an event page for that. Just to clarify, did everyone here get at least one email from me? I emailed everyone earlier today. Just want to make sure you got that. And if you haven't, could you put your email in the chat so I can reach out to you?
I have a question. What do I do if the day of we pass a hat and I get $150 in cash donations? What should I do with money if it comes to me in paper form? Paper money? Is that what we call it? Paper money.
So my suggestion is to have the church make a donation through the donation link for the bailout. Most bailouts are taking money that way. If the bailout happens to be in your city and you want to reach out to them and say, hey, we have some cash, feel free to do that. Petty cash is important for them to have. But for the most part, I think it's important to try to use those channels to send funds. If something specific comes up that you need troubleshooting with, then you can send an email to me and I can provide some feedback on that. So don't let cash be a deterrent. We can figure something out. Also, I'll say this. If you can try your best to measure how much money that you have raised somehow, that would be ideal. Even if you have folks who, when they're coming to the watch party, they're on their phones to like send money electronically as individuals. If there's a way for you to kind of keep track of that, or just like ask, in some sort of way, that would be really great, just so we can have a sense of how much money that we've raised per watch party, or and also like through this campaign. And if anyone has any ideas on a great way to track that, definitely hit me up, because maybe I'm just sick and sleepy, but I'm a little bit stumped. So any gems around that, it doesn't have to be on this call, but if something comes up, great. Karen has some ideas. Let me know. We can try to like find a way to systematize that and send that information out to everybody. It is 8:37, so I just wanted to lift that up, Eastern time. I'm happy to stay on the call for as long as there are questions. Otherwise, do we want to do like a closing now, Kiana?
Mute. One of the things that happens to me a lot is like somebody says maybe I should close, and then 2 minutes later someone's like, oh, I had a question. So I want to give it like a full solid 2 minutes before we close out. And then in terms of closing, start thinking about one thing you're looking forward to in this next season. Spring season, bailout season, even though there's no bailout season, or whatever that means for you. So start to think about that, but we're going to just be present and make sure nobody has any questions or has any needs. Also in your checkout, you could do share a joy. So a joy or something you're looking forward to in the new season. Time starts now. I know 2 minutes hasn't gone by. I'm okay with that. There's folks like Lisa and Asia and Sydney who haven't talked yet, and Rocky, and I just want to make sure that you all, if you have questions or concerns, just to make sure that we give you space.
I'm okay. I'm sorry I was going in and out. I was trying to get out of work, but I don't have any questions as of like this moment. So I'm good, but thank you.
This is Kim. I don't know whether if I can figure out a question before my boss comes, but one of my concerns is, oh, chat. No, I'm not going to remember. We're trying to do a plate sharing and having all of these impediments as far as you have to submit an organization and their budget and a contact. It was just all this crap. And we're going to do a watch party after, and we're because we are also in a candidating position, but we are going to have an abolitionist minister. So maybe I'm doing it backwards, but I'm looking forward to that, having somebody to work with that is supportive of the work we're trying to do. But I guess the question would be, if we're doing a plate sharing, at least the plate sharing people have the impression that we're going to be sending the money directly to Blue. So I'm not sure whether I should, and in addition, we'll have Chromebooks set up at the action table and trying to be encouraging direct donations and hopefully, a collection of stuff. But yeah, what about this thought of sending money to Blue directly?
Okay.
It's not preferred. It's not preferred. It's a particular hoop that we are trying to jump through in order to get extra funds than we would if we just asked for collection.
Yeah, so there's a way to donate. So there's a way to donate directly to Blue, and then there's a way to donate to the Promise and the Practice, and it gets complicated.
Right.
Can I suggest doing, so National Bailout is its own organization?
Yes, but
Is that a possibility?
It's not, because there was an application window.
Got it.
Right.
Got it. That's okay.
Right. So we put in Blue.
Okay, that makes sense. So I think that we could make a donation on your behalf with the funds that you collect.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the logistics of that. Luckily, the Blue Organizing Collective, their weekly meeting is tomorrow morning. So what I'll do is, can you send me an email so that I can know and remember who I'm speaking with and be able to give you an answer?
Okay.
And I will call Leslie after this meeting and explain that and see what they think is the best way to go about that, because I'm positive that there's a solution, but I don't want to give you an answer that I can't make, because I don't know, I can't make that decision.
Completely understandable, because I don't have because I'm on the phone. Who am I speaking to? Who is this?
Oh, sorry. You're speaking. Sorry about that. You're speaking with Paige. I'm the Blue Community
It is Paige.
And I've been sending the emails, and my email is Paige. It's PAIGE at blacklivesuu.com.
Okay. Very good.
You can also DM the Blue Facebook. It comes back to me. So however way that you get a hold of me, I'm thankful.
Okay. Very good. All right. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah. And I believe I am getting the emails, but I've been in a classroom all day, so I have no idea what my email looks like.
Well, if you signed up, you've gotten an email from me.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely did.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
We're going to start the closeout. But if folks have questions, you definitely know how to email us. You can drop it in the chat. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me, as Kim Possible would say. We're going to popcorn it. I'm going to start with Sydney because they look like they're driving safely right now, and that'll help. If you want to just tell us something you're looking forward to, and then you can popcorn it to whoever you'd like to go next.
Something I'm looking forward to is definitely being able to host a watch party and get more experience in hosting things and having that these kind of events. Yeah, and just, I don't know, there's other stuff, but who else is on? Yeah. Claude, how about you? What are you looking forward to?
All right, that's fair. I always go to for Sydney. What am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to being active. You know, just uh, doing something. You know, that's it. Let's go to Ashanti.
Thank you. So when Kiana brought up that it's a new season and everything's changing and it's about to be Easter, I thought about like when I was a little kid and my mom would buy me Easter dress and then like it would get all messed up and dirty because we have Easter dinner and they'd be like that red punch and like it would just all run down the dress and like people would get so mad because they would expect you to not ruin your Easter outfit, but you're a kid. And so I think it's the cutest thing when like the kids get their Easter outfits and then they end up like dirty and like worn and like the kids are like going on the Easter hunt and like playing in the grass in their little suits and their little dresses and like the tiny shoes. So I'm also excited about seeing mamas perform poetry at my event. I'm excited about seeing everybody eat and having a good time and in fellowship. So I'm excited, y'all.
Who's going next, Ashanti?
Oh, I'm sorry. Donna.
Okay. So I'm kind of late getting started on this, but I'm excited about the possibility. I'm relatively new in this community, and it's the most conservative, segregated place I've ever lived in my life. Yet there's a real strong core of faith leaders, social justice leaders. And so I'm looking forward to working with them in some way on this. My congregation is tiny and clueless. So I need to work with other people that have a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the world. That's what I'm looking forward to. So I will go to Lori.
In this next season, I am looking to deepen my relationships with people who are deep in this work. And I'm also looking to support my family members who are going through some really troubling, they're approaching life and death thresholds within the next few days and weeks. And we're holding them all in our hearts. And I'm feeling very honored to be in this liminal space with them, as well as I'm feeling very heartbroken. So my deep joy is that they are trusting me enough to let me into that space in this time. I will pass it to Jacaren.
Jacaren is our write-in guest. I think they're at work or driving. And Jacaren wrote in the chat, "I'm excited about the panel. It's going to be life-changing." I'm going to throw it to Rocky, and I'm going to go last.
In this next season, I am excited about everything that's going on in all of the communities that I belong to. My hip hop community, my Black community, and my UU community. They're all really uniting and really making me proud with the actions that they've been taking lately. And like that's very inspiring to see. It feels like it's going to be a good road ahead of us. And what was the other thing? My
That was, you can
That was
share
it?
joy. I like when you share joys. You're welcome to if you want.
I
You got robot on us. I'm going to throw it to
okay.
Asia Hauser since Rocky got robot.
Aisha had to get off the call.
Oh, who's, so there's two folks on phone. Somebody 773, and I thought that was Lisa. And then there's somebody at 347. Who's 347?
Hi, 347 number, you're off mute.
I think I'm muted. I don't know how to speak in.
Oh, you're unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Well, 347 is James in New Jersey, and I'm sorry, I'm my daughter's gymnastics gym, so all the routines and the dance music in the background, my apology. I'm just looking forward to actually having a small combined community because we have a very small Black presence of UUs in our congregations, but I'm a part of a very large network of Black moms in our neighborhood and our community, and they're powerful, like school board presidents, state assembly people, that kind of thing, and having them all come together and saying, oh, we're together, we all have these same concerns, great. I'm looking forward to that happening, that nexus of just powerful Black moms making stuff happen.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's the thought I had. Whatever Paige says, I say it too. So I'm the last one to go.
Wait, we didn't get to 773 and we didn't get to me.
773 was Lisa. Oh, we didn't ask her. She didn't close out. She just talked about the money stuff. My bad. Lisa and Paige fight over it.
I'm going to put them off mute. Hey, you're off mute.
Is this the 773?
Yeah, it's Kim.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it was Kim. It's okay. But I had already thrown out that I'm looking forward to, I mean, it's not me, but there being a minister who's who's an abolitionist. And change, just getting more people connected. And I enjoy that. And I'm so happy that this is happening. So, thankful.
Thank you. Last but not least is me. I'm looking forward to what's next. I'm that what's next person. So I'm like, yeah, this panel's gonna be great. The watch parties are gonna be great. What we doing? So that's my personality. That's how I pretty much operate at all times. So that's me. And then Kiana, pass it off to you.
Thank you. I didn't mean to forget you or Kim, so I do apologize. I've had kids and I've done a lot of things in my life, like graduate from college and master's degree. Those things were expected of me. And so they happened, and I didn't know Babies and Bailouts was going to happen in here. I didn't know it was going to happen out there. And every time somebody drops off a box of diapers, every time somebody says to me, can I volunteer at that watch party thing? Is this open for everybody? All of my volunteers right now are white. I haven't even asked the blue people to volunteer, but white people are stepping up. To go from this little thoughtling to this, all of this, to all of you, to all of what's happening is blowing my mind every day. It's motivating me to get out of bed and be a good human. And so for you all, I'm so grateful for being able to transmit the passion and have you guys carry ideas forward in your own spaces. I'm looking forward to April 28th. I'm looking forward to Mother's Day and bailouts, and I'm looking forward to not having a season of bailouts, to not having a time where we have to talk about bailing out people, where we're not looking at folks going, you had a traffic violation and now you owe $300 and you just lost your child care, your job, and your benefits because you don't have $300. Like, that's not a conversation I want to keep having. So I hope that the work that we're doing gets us to a place where we don't have to keep talking about bailing people out. So I'm excited about that. Again, if you guys have questions, concerns, please reach out. We want this to be easy. We want it to be beautiful, and whatever it takes to get us there, we want to get there with you. We're going to close out. I took the chalice out, and Ashe and Amen.
Cool. I'll go ahead and unmute everybody so that we can all say goodbye. And then thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.
Wonderful.
Great to join you. Yes.
You guys